let's remember our Remember verse together. This verse helps us know how precious we are to God. How precious are your thoughts about me, oh God? They cannot be numbered. I can't even count them. They outnumber the grains of sand. And when I wake up, you are still with me. Psalm 139, 17 and 18. Hey, great job. Let's do it again. How precious are your thoughts about me, oh God? They cannot be numbered. I can't even count them. They outnumber the grains of sand. And when I wake up, you are still with me. Psalm 139, 17 and 18. Ooh, nice work, everybody.
Good afternoon, guys. How are you doing? Hope you're enjoying this brisk weather. The sun is shining, so that's good. The skies are blue. I like that. And the trees are turning. So, perfect fall day. All right. We're going to be studying today on Moses again. And this is a cool story also. So I think you're getting a round of Moses. You should come out of this, those that you do quizzing and this, Sunday school, all the things that Moses is in. You're going to know Moses really well. And I hope that passes on to teen quizzing, because a lot of times when the teens come up to teen quizzing, they have either forgotten or they don't remember these stories, and I know you're going to remember them, so good. I would love to see you join quizzing later as you get older. Okay, enough commercials. Let's get to the story. All right, your paper is, of course, Pharaoh and Moses, and get used to that face because it's a lot in our story today. He don't look like really happy, does he? But our word is hidden on Moses' shoulder, and it is rescue. It is rescue. And rescue is an action word, and to be rescued is to be saved from a terrible situation or a dangerous situation. I don't know if you've ever been in a situation that you had to been rescued from. You may be playing around, you've fallen behind your bed or something and can't get out, and so your mom had to come and get you. She would have had to rescue you out of there so you wouldn't hurt yourself. But he's going to God's going to show some good rescuing here with our Israelites in that. And so pay attention closely to our story today of Moses and Pharaoh. Okay, I need to get my cards ready, and we get on to our story. Remember last week we talked about how the Israelites were being bullied and not treated very nicely by the Egyptians, and that was that wasn't very cool that they were being treated that way. Well, they were treated so terribly by them, okay? And remember how they had to work really hard, and they had to carry big things and stones and no help. Just get that done, and or you would be hit or beaten to do it. So God didn't like this, Moses didn't like this, and the Israelites just wanted out of there. The Israelites constantly cried out to God to rescue them, to take them away from this. And God heard them. And that's why he called Moses to lead him out of Egypt. And Moses went to see Pharaoh, and he asked him to, Moses went to see Pharaoh. I'm gonna put this guy down here. And Moses went to see this guy. He don't look too happy, does he? But he went to see him and to ask him to let the Israelites go, let them be free. And what do you think by that picture? What did he do? He said no. He put his hands together and he was defiant. He was like, yeah, nope, that's not going to work. They have to work. I want them here working. I want them my slaves. And so Moses asked again and again for him to free the Israelites. But all the time, Pharaoh refused. Pharaoh was, when you get by that picture, very stubborn. He was so stubborn. And God told Moses to tell his brother Aaron to place his staff over the Nile River. And when he told him that, whoops, sorry. He said, place it over the Nile River and turn the river into blood. Yuck. I don't think I'd want to be anywhere near there. And Moses did this with his brother, and Pharaoh wasn't too happy. Time passed, and God sent Moses back to Pharaoh. Okay, sent him back to Pharaoh, again to the Israelites. Please, wrong picture. Please free the Israelites. And Pharaoh again said no, nope. So God sent a plague of frogs. Do you know what a plague of frogs is? A plague is something terrible, and he sent frogs. Now, I like frogs, but I don't know if I'd want frogs all over the place and you could hardly step anywhere. They were everywhere, jumping and getting into things. And Pharaoh wasn't too happy about this. But again, they were everywhere, and it was gross. And Pharaoh told Moses that if the frogs disappeared, he would let the Israelites go. Well, God honored the promise, but guess what? He didn't mean it. He said no. After it was done, he got rid of his frogs. They were gone. No more. But he didn't really mean it. And he said no. And that wasn't a cool thing to do. And he would not let the Israelites go. And he told Pharaoh that he was very stubborn. And God said, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to send more things, more plagues. And he sent gnats and flies and locusts. These insects came from everywhere. They were all over the place, and they destroyed all of the Egyptians' crops. There was nothing left, just completely gone. But Pharaoh didn't care, didn't bother him, kept saying no. And so God sent more plagues. Got to get this guy, he just won't listen. And one of them made the Egyptian animals very, very sick. Hailstorms and boils, sores all over the bodies and the animals. And even darkness and nothing. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 plagues. And each plague, Pharaoh kept saying no. Wow, he's a tough guy. Nothing was fazing him. There was one final plague. God said that the oldest son in each Egyptian house would die. Would die, including Pharaoh's house. What do you think he did then? And the only way that it could keep it away from the Israelites was that God told the Israelites to place the blood of a lamb on the doorpost of their house, on the very top. And this would be a sign for God to protect his children. Pharaoh didn't know if he believed it would happen or not. The next morning, the Egyptians all over the place were filled with sadness and crying. Their sons had died. And Pharaoh was finally ready to listen because he lost his son also. He finally said, all right, I'll listen to your request and I'll free the Israelites. Well, Moses shared the good news with the Israelites. They were happy, and they were sad that it had to go that way, but they were happy. They packed their bags in a hurry because they didn't trust him. They weren't sure what he was going to do. And as they left Egypt, God showed them where to go. And he guided them. And by day, God led them with a pillar of clouds. And by night, he led them with a pillar of fire that would light up everything. I wonder how the Israelites felt knowing God was with them, always with them. When we say that, you know, God is always with you. And I am sure the Israelites knew and took it to their hearts that God would never let them down. And so they kept going. Back in Egypt, though, Pharaoh became very, very angry. He did not like what was going on. He didn't have his slaves anymore. He didn't have all the things that he wanted. He had lost his son. This was not cool. He gathered his army, and he decided that he was going to chase after the Israelites. Well, the Israelites were kind of nervous, and they were scared when they heard this, and they knew that they were coming. And the Red Sea was coming up against them, and they knew they had to get across it. And they wouldn't have time if the Israelites were coming. What would they do? So the sea was very, very big, and it was too big to swim, and it was too big to walk around quickly enough before they showed up and probably killed them. So God told Moses to stretch out his hand over the sea, and Moses raised his hand and his arms up over the sea, and the water began to part in two. And they were so happy. Wow, probably like, what is happening? Didn't believe it. And they were probably scared. I don't know, that I love the ocean. I love watching the ocean. I love going to the ocean. I haven't done that in years, but I love it. But to see the ocean part and those big waves come up over the walls, I don't know if I could walk through there and think they weren't going to crash right down again. But I think they knew that God was there, and God was, and I'm sure maybe even one of God's angels was ahead of them, you know, walking through. And they walked through as fast as they could get until the other side, and they were unharmed. Now, the funny part about this is the Egyptian armies were coming. They were coming. And the Egyptian army began to follow right into that. And when they got in the middle, guess what happened? God said, let those waters down. And the waters came crashing down on the Egyptians, and they were no longer. The Israelites were finally free. God had rescued them. God had delivered them from the Egyptians. That must have been a horrible thing to watch, but also inside they probably took a deep breath that they weren't going to be killed either, but God took care of them, and these bad guys were no longer. And that must have been one of the coolest things. I love seeing, I have lived by the ocean when I was growing up and could walk down there just a few minutes to go there. Spent a lot of time down there. And somebody down there takes some really good pictures, and they've been posting them. And the storms that have been happening all around us, the waves have been enormous. And I should have looked it up to show you to see if you could have seen that, but maybe next week I'll get that. And the waves were just big, and I thought when I was studying this, that man, that must have been something to walk across this ocean and have those waves up and then come crashing down and destroy the people that were hurting them. God's an amazing person. He works so many things out. And even though all those terrible things happened, God protected them. And they had to go through some of that, but they came out a winner at the end. And I think that's really cool, that God will never, ever leave us. The enemy may show up, but God is there. He will protect us. And we just have to trust in God to see that happen. So keep trusting, keep reading these stories. They're so good. And I know that a lot of you can't read them, but have your parents read them to you. and get them involved. Say, Mom and Dad, I need a story read. And can you read it out of the Bible? And I know that some of you have some really cool Bibles, and they tell some cool stories in them. And so read those. Take them into your heart. Learn that God, way back then, long, many years ago, was there to protect and help our people. And God is doing that today. He's helping us. So keep reading. Keep enjoying these stories. They're wonderful. And we're going to hear some great ones in the next few weeks. So tune in and hear that. All right. I'm glad you were with us today. I'm anxious for you to keep hearing these, and let's pray. Dear Jesus, thank you so much for this wonderful story of how you can rescue us no matter what the circumstance is. That we just have to trust you and keep serving you, and you will be there. Thank you for these boys and girls that are listening to these stories, and may they enjoy them and listen to them and take them into their heart and grow in wonderful Christian boys and girls. And we thank you for them. We thank you for this day. Bless each one. In the name we ask it. Amen. Love you guys. Bye.